Salve, welcome back. We are going to be talking now about the specific inflectional forms of the cases. We talked about the cases and what kind of jobs they have in the sentence. Now we're going to talk specifically about the different endings that show these cases or that indicate these jobs according to different nouns' declensions. Okay, when we say declension, a declension basically means a family of nouns that all behave in the same way, that all have the same endings. And so it's a useful way of us grouping nouns that behave the same way. Before we talk about the specifics of the first declension, we are going to take a look at the dictionary entry of nouns. In Latin dictionaries, nouns are written the same way. And this is a convention that has been established. You should be on this paper with me here. So this word yanua, yanuai, feminine door, is a first declension noun, happens to be a first declension. And they give you two forms of the Latin word here. They give you the nominative singular and they give you the genitive singular. We talked about that's the describer case, right? You make a noun into an adjective with that one. Now the reason they give you two is, I'm going to explain. The reason they give you the genitive is because the ending of the genitive, note my little note over here, the ending of the genitive case ending always reveals the declension, noun family to which the noun belongs. Okay? So, yanuai, this, or puella puellai, that I, that indicates its first declension. Amicus, amicus, amici, the I there, the letter I, indicates that it's second declension. Leo, leonis, the is indicates that it's third. Manus, manus, indicates, the us indicates it's fourth. And dies, die, the ei indicates that it's fifth. So if you want to know what declension the word is, usually they're not going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a dictionary. Some might. But usually looking at these is going to tell you. So this is a reference for you if you need it, but it's good to memorize it and have that with you always so you know what declension, but that's going to help you with some insight when you're translating Virgil to know the declension. Okay. They also list the gender. Oh, wait, before I talk about gender, why would they list the nominative too? Well, sometimes the nominative form differs from the other forms. Like you can look at leo, leonis. Leo is a short form, right? That's the nominative. But leonis, all the other inflections have this leonis, that on in there before they put on their endings. So most of the forms are leonis, and the genitive shows you that too. It shows you the longer form for all the other inflections, but then you always have the nominative first. And that's kind of like that's what you look up in the dictionary. They're alphabetized according to the nominative. So that's helpful to know that. Sometimes students say, oh, this word's not in the dictionary. I couldn't find leonim. Well, it's there. It's just under leo, and you have to figure that out. So you can't, always just look up every single inflectional form. The dictionary would be gigantic if it had every single form. You have to look up the nominative form. Okay? That's why some of this stuff is helpful when you have to start using the dictionary. They also give the gender. We'll talk more about that later, but there's masculine, feminine, and neuter. All Romance languages, have gender. English doesn't so much have gender for, common nouns and things. Its gender more refers specifically to sexual gender, but in Latin and all the other Romance languages, it can refer to both. Just sexual gender or arbitrary grammatical gender. And then they give you the English meaning or meanings of the word. Okay, so let's go back to the first declension now. And we'll choose, I'm not going to choose yanua because that's going to be a little awkward, I think. We're going to do puella, okay? Puella. And the dictionary entry for puella would be puella, puellai. And feel free to write this down too and use this as a reference. And that's feminine, and it's a girl. And if you want to say puella ambulat, the girl is walking, you just say puella, right? That's the nominative. Una puella, due puellai. Okay, so here's the plural doer form, puellae. Use a little highlighter, get all fancy here. Una puella, due puellae. And there you have it. Singular and plural in the nominative doer form. Okay? What if somebody's hitting the girl? Okay? Caecilius puellam pulsat. Okay? The accusative down here is puellam, and if Caecilius was hitting lots of girls, then it would be Caecilius multas puellas pulsat. Okay? So when you want to make something a receiver, you just take puella and you make it puellam. The M is accusative singular, receiver singular, and as is accusative plural. That's like in the Romance languages, at least in Spanish, it's us. Okay. If Caecilius felt bad and he wants to give a gift to the girl, Caecilius donum puellae dadet, okay, then it'd be puellae, to the girl. Remember, we can put in that preposition to. And remember, he hit a bunch of girls, so if he wants to give gifts to all the girls, it'd be Caecilius dona gifts puellis dated. Puellis. And that's a long I. Kind of helpful to know that. This is also a long A, by the way. Good to know that later. I'll explain that later why that would be good to know that. Puellis. Okay? So dated, Caecilius donum dated unae puellae, said multis puellis. Okay, multis puellis. Now, if Caecilius was at the girl's house, or the house of the girl, we would say villa puellae. Villa puellae. Notice there's a lot of forms that use the I, but you just have to use the context of the sentence to figure out which one they are, or for it to make sense. If he was at the house of the girls, it'd be villa, and this is a long one, villa puellarum. Okay, puellarum. Puellarum. That's how you do it. Villa puellarum. The house of the girls, or the girls' house. And then finally, if Caecilius went to the movies or something with a girl, we would say cum puella. And this actually is a long A as opposed to this A, which is a short A. That's sometimes helpful for to look for that long mark. In Virgil, you'll know it's ablative. And if he was going with lots of girls, we'd say cum multis puellis. And that's long again. Cum multis puellis. Okay. So here you have the different inflectional endings for first declension for puella. Okay. And having these either in your memory or knowing where to reference them quickly can sometimes help you figure out what case a noun is in a passage of Virgil or Caesar which you might be having trouble. So sometimes you would first, if it's an unfamiliar word, you might have to first figure out what declension it is, and then go to your declension and figure out what form it would be. And sometimes that can help you understand the sentence a lot better. Now, just to wrap this video up, there's a song that Katie Robinson, a Latin teacher, who's a friend of mine, came up with, and I don't think she minded me sharing this. And it goes to the tune of the Witch Doctor. So if you want to memorize it, and I used to have my students do this all the time, you would go something like this. You'd say, today was the first declension test, I didn't know what to do. Boom, 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 went to the witch doctor, and this is what he said. He said, go I arum, I is, amas, is, I arum, I is, amas, is. It's like, I arum, I is, amas, is. And it's one way you can put that little table in your memory and have it there to access when you need it. I don't like teaching that early on because I want you to just get familiar with the forms as you see them in context. One other thing that can be a little helpful here is noticing some of the things that are similar, like the plural. Nominative plural is the same as genitive singular and dative singular. And remember, these can both kind of show possession in a way. Dative can show possession, so it makes sense. And then dative and ablative plurals are always the same, and that's important too. And I'm going to stop this.